Welcome back to my channel. For those of you who have not heard of Kerby Rosanes, I am thrilled to be the one to introduce you. His coloring books are not for the faint of heart. I've wanted to do something of his for a long time, and I'm finally getting the chance. His art is so detailed and so intricate. When I saw his work, I knew it was right up my alley. Normally, I try to turn boring pages and make them into something interesting, but with his art, there is no need to change anything, so this time I'm simply coloring. It's wonderful all on its own, but I did not know what I was getting myself into. I bought his Worlds Within Worlds coloring book. I picked this meteor page because it looked like there was a lot more empty space in it, and I thought it wouldn't take me as long as some of the other pieces in the book. And I was very wrong. At first glance, it looks like there's a whole bunch of empty space, but upon looking at it deeper after I had already started coloring the page, I noticed there was all these little tiny fish. It's kind of hard to tell in the video, but all these little fish have these little tiny fins that are literally nothing other than a black line. So if I were to paint the space solid black, the fish would absolutely get lost and they would look like just little dots on the page. I had to completely change the original plan, which was to do black space, obviously, and just white stars. So instead, each object I had to give it a glow about it so you could actually tell where it was, and then draw the space around these hundreds and hundreds of tiny little details. Just straight coloring. It took me 9 hours to do this. So, his coloring books are absolutely beautiful. They're absolutely gorgeous. But you definitely have to be committed. This is for your serious colors. Like you really need to love coloring to do one of these. Because this page did take me so long, I am very aware of how long this video is, even with it being extremely sped up. So I do have timestamps in the video and chapters if you would like to just kind of fast forward through the important parts. And one thing that I think is really good about his coloring books is the shading is already there. He does this crosshatch type of style, and so where the lines are thicker, to shade more there, and there won't be any lines where it needs to be brighter. So if shading is something that you think really intimidates you, but you love to color, this is a really good option for you, because you can just follow his lines and he'll show you exactly where all the shading needs to take place. Now, as this is the only coloring book of his that I have, I can't speak to any of the others, but this one, what I love about this, it's so well thought out. It's actually a story. So in every coloring page, there is a creature or an object that is another world within that world. And when you turn the page, it goes deeper into the other worlds. So like, for example, in this one, in the meteor, there is actually a sea creature and it has this little key on it, and that lets you know that's where the next world is. And when you turn the page, the next world is of this sea creature with a world inside of it, which is just so fun and whimsical. It kind of makes me think of the end of the Men in Black movie, with the marbles, and it's like it keeps going out and out and out, and spaces. It's like a galaxy within a galaxy within a galaxy. I just love that. I do have a few criticisms of his coloring books. A lot of them are a dual page coloring project, so unfortunately I have to work around the crease in the book, which I don't love. In fact, I hate it. As you can tell, as I'm coloring this, I'm constantly having to push the page down and try to keep it in the frame. It's just not very convenient, and it doesn't lay flat. It's a very tight bind. It does loosen up eventually, but it takes a long time for me to loosen it to where I can even get in between the crease and the seam. So I don't love that a lot of his artwork does cover both pages. So that's a real criticism I have. Another criticism that I have, a lot of his drawing is just a straight line, and you can't color a straight line, especially like with these little tiny fish. The fins are quite literally just a line, so I can't draw the space black because then the fish won't show up at all. And because of that, I'm having to work around the fish with lighted colors to make sure that you still see where the lines are, that you can tell that it is even, in fact, fish. I also don't love that the coloring book is front and back. So if you ever had a page that you wanted to take out or remove from the book, you actually can't, because there is a picture on the other side. And most likely that picture is connected to the other half of the page because it's only going to be half a picture. So the option for tearing pages out of the coloring book is not there, which I don't love. That's probably my biggest criticism of his books, is that they are double-sided and they take up 2 full pages. One thing about coloring something that takes you 9 hours, it does give you a lot of time to reflect and contemplate. While I was coloring this page, I was reminded of something that my father-in-law said here a few days ago, and it was so wise and so profound, and I knew I just had to share it with everyone. What he said was, when you shine your light before men, do you shine it in their eyes or do you shine it on their path? How simple is that? It's so simple, but yet it's so powerful. And I think that we all want to be a positive influence to others, and we all want to be a light to others. It made me really stop and think, when I shine my light before men, do I shine it on their path or do I shine it in their eyes? I definitely want to be the type of person that I shine it on the path and not in their eyes. So those are just some of the things that I've been thinking about as I've been coloring this page. I may have to come up with a name for that. We call it contemplative coloring. So one thing I really like to do with something that's super bright and colorful like this is to go in with some highlighter, and it makes it look so bright and so fun. But I did not want it to ruin the other pages, and I know these pages are super thick and it would probably be fine. But one thing about highlighter is over time it tends to soak through the page, so it could be fine for a day or two or even like a month before it starts to bleed through the page. And I definitely did not want to ruin this coloring book because I absolutely love it. So a quick easy hack is to take clear paint medium, paint it over your page. Try not to do too many back and forth strokes because it is going to lift up some of that color. I haven't tried it with other things like, lacquer or shellac or anything of that nature. I'm sure those probably would work, but I've never used them personally. I just use the clear paint medium. Once you let that dry, then you can go back over your colors with a highlighter to make them look a lot more bright and a lot more neon. I have Sharpie brand highlighters that work okay. There are these real cheap glow line highlighters and they are extremely bright. I absolutely love them. The yellow in particular is so bright. Originally I went over some of the blue areas with a white gel pen and they turned pink because it picked up some of that color. So another good use for the paint medium is to give it a little bit of a barrier so it doesn't pick up as much of that pigment and turn as pink and purple. Coloring the earth was a little hard because I am not really sure what's going on here. Some kind of island right next to Africa, which doesn't exist. So I'm not really sure what was going on here, but I decided I was probably the only weird nerd who would ever pick that up anyway. So I think this top part of the earth here is supposed to be mountains. So I left some white caps on the mountains. And then the little island next to Africa, the only thing I could think that maybe he was going for was Greenland. So there's this random little ice island right next to Africa, which is fine. I'm probably the only person that would look that closely, but yeah, I'm still not 100% sure where the mystery island's coming from. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel, and please leave me a comment about the next thing you want to see in a video. Do you want to see some more Kerby Rosanes? Do you want to see me transform another coloring page? Let me know in the comments what you want to see next. Finally, I finished off all my little stars in the space. So here is my finished product. It took me over 9 hours of actual coloring time. So the big question, was it worth it? Was it worth the 9 hours that I put into this coloring page? I think it was. I would do it again. I probably should have started with a different page, but I don't regret it at all. I absolutely love the way it turned out. I keep opening it and looking at it again. I can't wait to do another one of these. It was a lot of fun. So if you like coloring and you don't mind something that takes hours, you have to pick up one of his books. It's so great. You won't regret it.